Skeptics call it the greatest hoax in history, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. They say it never happened. So let's open the case file and let the evidence speak. Jerusalem, 33 AD, a sealed tomb, a Roman guard unit, a dead man inside. 3 days later, the stone is rolled away. The body is gone. 12 men who fled in fear are now preaching publicly. 11 of them will die for refusing to recant. That's not legend, that's evidence. Here's a tactical response. In any cold case, you work the evidence chain. Means, motive, opportunity, witnesses. So let's run the resurrection like a homicide investigation. Because if the prosecution's theory falls apart under cross-examination, the defendant walks. And the defendant in this case is the empty tomb itself. Guys, I'm going to break down 4 pieces of forensic evidence the skeptics cannot answer. Stay locked in. Exhibit A, the empty tomb. Even the enemies of Christ admitted it was empty. The Sanhedrin paid the guards to lie. Matthew 28. Thieves don't fold linen. Grave robbers don't neatly lay burial cloths on a slab. That's not how theft works. That's a crime scene detail that destroys the theft theory. Exhibit A is closed. The empty tomb is an established historical fact, confirmed by the very people who wanted Jesus to stay dead. Your move, skeptics. Exhibit B, the eyewitness testimony. Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 15, Jesus appeared to Peter, then to the 12, then to over 500 people at the same time. Paul issues a legal challenge. He says, most of them are still alive. Go check. That's not mythology. That is a 1st century open court challenge. And the first witnesses were women. In 1st century Jewish law, women couldn't testify in court. If you're fabricating a resurrection, you don't lead with women, unless it actually happened. Exhibit C, enemy attestation. Josephus, 1st century Jewish historian, no friend of Christianity. He records that Jesus was a real man, crucified under Pilate, and that his followers reported seeing him alive. Tacitus, Roman historian, records that Christ was executed under Pontius Pilate during the reign of Tiberius. The movement, he writes, broke out again. Your own enemies documented the event. When your opponents confirm your story, that is the gold standard of historical evidence. Exhibit D, the transformation. James, the brother of Jesus. During the ministry, James thought his own brother was out of his mind. Mark chapter 3. He did not believe. After the resurrection, James becomes the leader of the Jerusalem church and dies for the faith. You don't die for a lie you helped fabricate. That is not how human psychology works. Then there's Paul, a man who hunted Christians for sport, dragged them from their homes, watched them executed. Acts chapter 9. Something happened on that road to Damascus. Paul goes from persecutor to prisoner, willingly chained, beaten, shipwrecked, and still writes from a Roman cell that he counts it all as gain. Philippians 4. That transformation doesn't happen for a hoax. Exhibit D is closed. Brothers who doubted, enemies who hunted, both transformed by the same event. You don't manufacture that kind of witness profile. It has to be real. Now let's run the prosecution's theory. The disciples stole the body. That's the claim on the table. Let's put it under cross-examination. Past a Roman guard unit, past an imperial Roman seal, in the middle of the night, and then every single one of them chose to die, rather than admit the theft. Not one broke, not one recanted. Or maybe Jesus didn't die, the swoon theory. He survived Roman crucifixion, the most efficient execution system in history, rolled away a stone that took multiple men to place, and then convinced 11 trained fishermen and a former Pharisee that he had conquered death. Every alternative theory collapses under its own weight. The evidence chain holds. Means, no one had it. Motive, no one benefited from the lie. Opportunity, guarded and sealed. Witnesses, hostile ones, included. The prosecution's theory falls apart under cross-examination. That means the defendant walks. The resurrection of Jesus Christ is the most forensically supported event in ancient history. So the next time a skeptic calls it a hoax, ask them one question. Which piece of evidence are you prepared to cross-examine? Because we have 4 exhibits, and they are all still standing. You are a witness. Every believer is. The evidence is in your hands. You didn't believe a legend. You believed a documented resurrection. Now go act like it. Guys, subscribe now and sharpen your sword. The weapons are here. The evidence is real. The defendant walks because he is risen.